The trade deadline has come and gone, and now we are in the final stretch of the flame season. And what on earth is going to happen, and what can we expect?
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today, we are going to be diving in to some controversial topics, including why Connor Zary is not a fourth liner and why I think Huska's current system is a sham, as well as Dustin Wolf's success and just, well, how does the season end? Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day, and let's dive into it. Let's just quickly recap. Trade deadline was Friday. Flames did not trade anyone up to a week before the deadline. That was the first time in 12 or 13 years that the team hadn't done that, and it was pretty controversial. It was quiet. Most of the Pacific Division was quiet. And one thing that I've kind of sat with this weekend and kind of tried to make sense of the decision making by Conroy is this he keeps saying we have a plan and we're sticking to the plan. And if I recall correctly, the plan was to rebuild essentially. They knew they were going to have to take a few steps back in order to be competitive again in a few years. But does this mean the lack of moves leading up to the trade deadline? Does that mean Craig Conroy believes in this group and that he thinks that this is the best options out there that this team is set for the playoffs? Or is this kind of him passively accepting defeat? And I say that because if you thought you were a playoff team and you know you need more offense, and it was a seller's market, so prices were going to be high, and you still didn't feel like it was the right time to add, um, which is fine. Like in theory, on paper, that's great, but what are you going to do to get this team's offense going? It's not something that can be fixed overnight, and certainly not in the last 20 games. So is this him just kind of being like, my contribution was Frost and Farabee, and this is what you're working with? I think Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost have been great additions. Do not get me wrong. They have been impactful. I have been very happy with their offensive production. Do I want to see more of it kind of consistently? Yes, absolutely. But considering these circumstances, I would say it's going fairly well. But does is this just Conroy kind of getting by with like the bare minimum? And I think that might be the case. Like, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and use all your assets to uh, win and get in sort of deal. When you know you're not ready and you want to, kind of hold on to that draft capital to make a sustainably competitive hockey team. And so I guess I'm less I don't want to say upset, um, bothered or confused by his deals, or lack thereof leading up to the deadline. I do feel like we could have potentially, maybe, possibly traded Joel Hanley or Miramonov. Joel Hanley probably would have gotten you a little bit more than Miro. I think that Hanley has stepped up big time. He has been a fantastic, consistently fantastic player for the Flames defense and someone that is going above and beyond and picking up that extra slack that that's been there, that's evident, and it costing them games, and he's really jumped from this 6th, 7th defenseman role into kind of this top 4 defenseman, uh, situation at 33 years old, and, like, congratulations to him. To me, I think that that's very Flames-esque, just this kind of second wind late in your career and underdog situation, but is this just what it is? And it's up to the team and how they play the rest of these games to really make the most of it or prove the point that they're not really a playoff team. They get in by the skin of their teeth. I guess what is more rewarding? What would fuel this organization to make the right choices more? Is it getting into the playoffs? Or is it missing again because your offense is atrocious might be a mean word, but it's inconsistent and bad. I guess I'm just we're gonna have to wait and see how this last month plays out. I know that the wild card race is tightening up. I think that Vancouver is going to continue to implode. I think the Flames are gonna be doing what they've done all season and go up and down, but they're running out of time. All these teams are running out of time, and the trade deadline is a nice reminder that, okay, you're you're rounding third. It's time. Like, you are in the home stretch of the season. Put your money where your mouth is. All this work you've put in all season comes down to now. But coming up next, we're going to talk about Dustin Wolf and the success of his season and, why isn't mainstream media talking about Dustin Wolf and his contributions to this Flames playoff run? Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they are packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling full longer. I just love the traditional shelled peanuts. I or pistachios. I enjoy having them on the go when I'm, running around town, running my errands, whether I'm at my desk working on hockey related things or when I'm at work and just need to take a few minutes to put some fuel in my tank. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And I want to call back to an episode that I did much earlier on in the season. It was probably December or January, maybe at the latest. And I posted a video, or an episode rather, about Dustin Wolf being a Calder trophy finalist. And was his performance enough to kind of start those conversations. You never really hear, oh, it's too early to start these conversations for the skaters, but like Dustin Wolf can't be tossed in the conversation that early. For what? Why not? And it was a conversation that picked up steam. A lot of people were, I don't want to say trying to get eyes on Dustin Wolf because that makes it sound like people don't watch hockey, but they wanted to bring more attention to Dustin Wolf. And I think that's important because Dustin Wolf is absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that he's only 23 years old and playing like this just speaks volumes about what his prime is going to look like and why this team cannot afford to waste it. But right now, he is currently the only rookie in Flames history to have 3 shutouts in his rookie year. I When I saw that, I was kind of flabbergasted, I guess, or kinda shocked because, I mean, what do you mean? And then I remembered that Kiprusoff, he came to the Flames later in his career, so his closest comparison really, uh didn't stand a chance there in terms of Flames history, but I am blown away. This is the first time since 2021-2022 season where the Flames are in the top half of the league in terms of shutouts. If you remember, Jacob Markstrom had 9 that season, but 3 shutouts from Dustin Wolf on a team that cannot score consistently or more than 2.5 goals per game. So, to me, if I'm a voter and I see that statistic, I'm gonna say that is absurd. Like, you have to stand on your head night after night after night after night to get this done, and he does. He has been phenomenal on the road. And he's phenomenal at home. He's been pretty good on the road. I I think he's handled the physicality uh that he's had happen in the crease very well because I would have flicked my helmet off and started whacking people. But I guess that's why he's so composed. Cannot relate. But he is just locked in. He stumbled a little bit last season when he was going up and down between the Wranglers and the Flames, and what didn't really have consistent starts with the Flames. It depended on if Markstrom was hurt or if someone was sick. And then, Dan Vladar undergoes season-ending hip surgery, and he finishes the season pretty well. And this year, he took control of the crease and made that his own. He ended the conversations of, well, who should be the starter? Who should be this? It's Dustin Wolf ready to carry a starting goaltender's workload in his first full season in the NHL. He has been playing so well. He currently has 15 goals, or it's 14.7 goals saved above expected. Um, that's pretty good. He is 8th in goalies with 30 games played, and you're only going to see him get better. And the fact that this is his rookie year just sets the bar so high for when his career continues. Next year, I mean, goaltending is so finicky, so you really can't properly project it, but the sophomore slump is a thing. So, I do think the expectations are high for next year as well, but it's important to remember how good he is, because you can't let a few bad performances um, cloud your judgment. And these are hypothetical performances. He plays very well. You rarely ever see him out of position. Um, you don't see him like he's square on with the puck and the play. So I don't necessarily think like it's a positioning or a technical issue. I really do think sometimes it's just luck on the goal scorer's part, but he has played so well this season. He should be a Calder finalist. He should win the Calder trophy. If he does not win the Calder trophy, we are going to need to have a discussion on why this will never be a goaltender award. Um, and what does a goalie have to do to win it? And why don't you just make a separate category? Like, it's infuriating to think about. And you know what? Depending on how the season ends, give him the Vezina uh, nomination too. Why not? He has earned it on the team that is playing in front of him. He has been the most valuable goaltender. I mean, Connor Hellebuck, yes, but like, at least that team can score goals. I am blown away at Dustin Wolf's determination, consistency, uh, technicality, his skill, his overall ability is so impressive. And coming up next, we're going to talk about something a little less impressive, and that would be Ryan Huska's current roster construction. Coming up next here on Locked On Flames. Looking to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor makes eating well easy with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals that are fresh, never frozen, and ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences every week, you can customize your meals to fit your lifestyle, whether it's calorie smart, protein plus, or keto. Plus, Factor even offers wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, and grab and go snacks to keep you fueled all day long. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 off and use code LockedOnNHL50 off to get 50% off of your first box plus free shipping. That's code Locked On NHL 50 off at factorsmeal.com/locked on NHL 50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at JustBelMosto as well as Blue Sky. I understand how difficult it may be to assemble a roster. I couldn't do it. I can barely do it in fantasy hockey, let alone real life. But I think that Ryan Huska has had some pretty big missteps this year. Um, and I would argue that using Connor Zary on the fourth line multiple games in a row is the biggest one. I don't know what you need from him to, and I know that he said, "Oh, it's not a punishment." Why are you hindering his play? Nothing but love for Lomberg and Rooney. It's not them. It is the type of player. It is the severity of the mismatch line mates. He is not a fourth liner. Martin Pospisil is more likely a fourth liner than Zary. I understand you need to make the most of your lines and what you're working with. However, there's no reason for Zary to be on the fourth line again. I want to see a line with Farabee, Zary, and Frost, or Farabee, Coronado, and Zary. Something. Give me something, because I love Matt Coronado on the top line, but I do think that you can shake some things up. Maybe you put Sharon Govich up on that top line, get him going again, since he did so well there last year, and take advantage of just messing around with your roster. I understand you're hoping to make the playoffs and you want it to be, you want there to be chemistry built and whatnot. But to me, you're losing out on a lot of opportunities if you continue to put Zary on the fourth line. I know that it changes in game and that, things get shaken up and Huska puts the lines in the blender, but I do feel like it is unacceptable to have him on your fourth line at practice and to start games. He gets paid a lot of money to put together a lineup that is what's the word I'm looking for? Good. That is productive, generates offense. And I was talking with someone the other day, and they said that Ryan Huska hockey and his systems are very similar to Jeff Ward's. And it's just boring, and there aren't a lot of scoring chances generated. They need to find someone that can use a system like Daryl Sutter and generate volume. Might not always be quality shots, but you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And the Flames are last in the league at 5-on-5 shooting percentage. How do you expect to win a playoff game, let alone a series, when that is what you are working with? One thing that I did notice as well for the pairings today, you've got Joel Hanley with Mackenzie Weegar up on that top pairing, Ball and Anderson, and then Bean and Pahal. I think they're as big as the lapses are in the offense. I do think there's still some in the defense. However, the defense can be held up by Dustin Wolf. Dustin Wolf cannot score a goal. I mean, he might be able to score a goalie goal. I don't know. He can do everything, but you should be putting these players in a better situation. I feel like you're setting Zary up to fail, and I don't want to hear it that he scored on the fourth line. I really don't. I just do not think that you are using him properly by having him on the fourth line. Just my opinion. You want this kid to sign a long-term extension with you, and I mean, I'm sorry. I know you said it's not sending a message, but I think it says a lot, like, oh, this is what you think I can do? That's it? And it's discouraging. I mean, honestly, like, why is 34-year-old Blake Coleman playing higher in the lineup than me? No disrespect, Blake Coleman. I think you're great. But in terms of roster construction, Igor Sharangovich has struggled a lot. Connor Zary is your consistent goal scorer. You need him in those opportunities, and you need him as a net front presence. It's exhausting trying to explain this because I feel like I'm talking to a wall. When, like, I'm not arguing, but when I'm breaking down Huska's decision making, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand the Rory Curran's, why he didn't play longer with the team. I don't understand why you think you're going to make the playoffs and win playoff games when you can't score more than 2-3 goals a game. It's very frustrating, and I'm hopeful that things start to click for Ryan Huska and the little light bulb goes off in his head and he puts Zary higher in the lineup. I know it's not permanent and we've seen great stuff from him, but that is not where he should be playing. And I don't think Backlund should be your second line center, but that's a discussion for another day. That'll do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. Flames are off until Wednesday, so tomorrow we will discuss a game preview because, my God, the Flames are back home again, and it's a regular timed game for you Mountain Time folks.